From Dubai, I welcome with me Arun Leslie John, Chief Market Analyst at Century Financial. Welcome, Arun. Thank you for joining us. Oil companies and energy companies have benefited in the past from higher average prices, especially oil. Now, the question is with those filled coffers or pockets, even if the profits will drop with the drop in oil prices, do you think those companies are still a good investment for the markets, given that they have received a lot of money and they have huge cash flows, these major companies now?
Yes, we continue to believe that oil companies, especially in the US and Europe, the developed world oil companies will continue to be good investments in the medium term as well as in the long term. I mean, primarily there are two factors which is driving our belief in this argument. First of all, oil is not going to go away. Oil demand will be continuing to rise this year as well as maybe till 2028 at least. That's at least what the International Energy Agency is saying. Second, so in the past few years, major oil companies, whether it is in the Europe as well as in the US, they had um, tried to turn more green. So what I'm trying to imply is that some of these companies try to put more money into solar and wind energy initiatives to make sure that they were meeting the sustainability goals. Now, as we can see from the statements of some of the recent chief executives, for example, whether it is British Petroleum or whether it is Shell, all of these companies now are returning to their core business. The core business means they are beginning to focus more on oil or the fossil fuels as we can call them. This will improve their efficiency in the near term. Even if the oil prices drop, it is highly likely that their improving focus on the core business will protect the downside for shareholders.
But the important point is what those companies are doing with their cash. You're saying that companies have invested to a large extent in renewable energy, which is in line with the political agendas and the climate change and other issues. But we still face a problem with lack of investments in oil. This problem clearly will become more difficult in the future. Those companies are still preferring to buy back their shares and give generous dividends rather than investing. And this is the reason, or this is because of uncertainty regarding political agenda. Do you think we'll see increased investment?
um, a increase in oil investment at this point of time, maybe next 1 or 2 years, seems unlikely. I mean, whether it is Shell or the British Petroleum, they might likely to be stabilizing at current levels or maybe marginally lower from current level. So what these companies are trying to do, they are trying to focus on operations which are more efficient. Like they are trying to generate more returns from for the shareholders. So now, for example, Shell. I mean, if we can again go back to that particular company. Now the Shell's annual dividends even now are less than the pre-pandemic era. So companies like Shell are trying to increase the efficiency, reduce the capex a bit, so that returns for their shareholders can be boosted. So of course, a consequence of that is that investments into oil production or capex into oil might fall a bit. So